All right, thank you for joining us. We thought it'd be fun to do another little update and go over the last couple of months of our adventures. And as you can see, we're on home time right now, and got a big story behind that, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So if you haven't seen us before, we are the Myers, and we drive team for Swift. We've been driving for just under a year, well, about a little over 6 months now, I think. And, obviously this is our first winter together, so there's, been some adventures. So this is my wife, Alyson.
Aloha, everybody.
And let's dive in. So first thing I'll go over is just our miles real quick. We have had some struggles, but I want to preface this by saying it's not something that I take out on Swift. There are lots of miles available at Swift. A team could easily do 6,000 miles a week if they really wanted to. But it's been winter and we've had a couple other things come up that has really slowed down our progress. So anyways, November wasn't bad. We started, what was it, in July or August? But in November, we had about 15,500 miles, and that was including being down for, a storm or two and some minor little truck things. So that wasn't too bad.
Our first snowstorm, actually, was in November in Nebraska. So we got to experience a little downtime for that.
Yep, they shut down the interstate. We were on I-80 just before, I think it was Sydney. Sydney?
Yep.
Yeah, Sydney, Nebraska. And we were at the Satt Brothers truck stop. They had shut down the interstate. And I think we got the last room at that little hotel there. So while everybody was freezing their butts off in their trucks, we were sitting in the hot tub, and it was actually kind of enjoyable.
It was kind of nice. Nice little break.
Yeah, it was a nice little break. So, we made the best of it. Went out, did some snow angels, threw some snowballs at each other. So did a little bit of shopping. We were really short on winter clothing. So we walked over to the
Cabela's.
Yeah, walked over to Cabela's and got a couple things.
We didn't realize it's the headquarters. It's the original Cabela's.
I forgot about that.
In Sydney. Yep.
Yeah, in fact, we spoke to someone there that, says that, I think her name's Mary, still comes in from time to time and visits them. So
Cabela, yep.
So, but it's a pretty neat store. Their stuff's a little expensive, but it's kind of neat. So anyways, December rolled around. We started to have some struggles in December, and we only did 11,221 miles in December. We had some issues with the truck, and I did talk about this briefly on some other videos, I believe. But basically what would happen is we'd be driving along, and then the check engine light would come on, and then a few minutes later, a few miles later, then all the ABS lights would come on and a bunch of other lights, and it lit up like a Christmas tree. Which
in December is kind of interesting.
It is nice to have your ABS working in the snow.
Yes.
But anyways, then the truck would derate itself. And luckily, the couple times it happened to us, we happened to be just a couple miles away from a wayside rest. So we, literally limped it into the wayside rest going, 15 miles an hour, or however fast it was, I don't remember. And, the whole time it's giving us a proximity alert like we were hitting something, but that's not the case. So.
And it happened both times when I was driving for some reason.
Yeah, it wouldn't do it to me.
First time was when you were sleeping, and second time you got to witness it firsthand, and you're like, wow.
Yeah, it was obviously, we could tell it was obviously an electrical issue because it would go away after we turn off the truck and turn it back on again. But then a little while later, it would do it again. So I reported it to Swift, and we were in New Orleans, and we were like 50 miles away from a Volvo dealership. That is one thing bad about Volvos, is that you pretty much have to go to their dealerships to get any work done on them. But that might be the case too for some of your other brands. But anyway, so we went to the Volvo dealership outside of New Orleans, and I think they had it for a couple of days, which is not bad for a dealership. When I did my training we had an issue with my trainer's truck, and we were stuck at the Freightliner dealership for an entire week. So
And it didn't fix it either, right?
yeah, no, it didn't fix it. So anyways, we were there for, I think, 2 days. And again, we got a hotel because they wouldn't let us stay in the truck. And Swift did reimburse us for that. So thank you very much, Swift. And 3 hours down the road after we left, it did it again.
Yep, exact. I mean,
Yeah,
to
just
the letter.
3 hours after we left the dealership. So called back Swift, explained what was going on. And they said, okay, well, it's actually shorter for you to bring it home, at this point in time to the Ocala, Florida Swift yard, which is our home terminal, than it would be to go over to Jacksonville. I think there's a Volvo dealership in Jacksonville. So that's what we ended up doing. I can't remember how that worked out with the load. I forget where the load was going.
I forget how that works. I think it was going further down, maybe to Miami or something like that.
Yeah, I think we T-called that load off to someone else.
And we didn't want to risk having something really bad happening with a truck being in a big city. So.
And it actually didn't do it again on the way to Ocala, Florida. And I forgot to say what they said that they did at the New Orleans dealership was they just did software updates. So,
brand new truck, 2021.
Brand new truck.
Brand new truck, but it needed all these software updates apparently.
Yeah.
So through like 3 pages of codes, error codes.
Well, I think a lot
when
of
they
those
hooked
are
it up.
repeats, but
Yeah, probably.
But anyways, so it was in the Swift yard for a few days. And they called us up, said, okay, it's all fixed, all ready to go. What would you do with it? Oh, it just needed software updates.
Here we go again.
I'm like, they did the software updates. They said, no, they actually, they had tried to do them, but the updates failed. So I'm glad that $360 that the dealership charge didn't come out of my pocket in that particular case, or I would have been livid.
Yep.
So anyways, but they were telling the truth. It has not, knock on wood, it hasn't acted up or done that since. So, and I did notice a message on the Qualcomm, something about the update successful, where we did not see that message when we left the dealership. So it's little things like these that you learn your first year, I think, help out a lot. Earlier in the year, we had an issue with the batteries, and we didn't know that's what was going on until afterwards. So, now I know if a truck is killing after an hour running my CPAP, that's not normal.
Yeah.
So, and I got a whole story on that one. I won't go into it again, but if you look at my previous videos, actually is the other big update that was like half an hour long. We talk about that. So, what else did we do in December? So we did spend some home time. I think there were a few times that I can't remember exact stories right now, but a few times that we pulled over and had to sit out for weather. It seems like we hit all the big storms this year so far. So I guess when you're over the road and you're running border to border, you're going to hit them all.
I noticed a lot of them are in Wyoming on I-80 seems to be where we've hit a lot of our slowdowns.
Exactly. And like I said, it's again, it's not for lack of miles from Swift, man. They have loads. I don't want to say anything that's them lacking or anything. And I love the fact that they run us coast to coast, and where they're actually giving us really good loads. But unfortunately, I think a lot of the freight right now is going to the Northwest, and so we're doing a lot of Atlanta to Oregon and California and things like that. So anyways, come around to January, and January's been rather interesting. So put your hand under your jaw because you're going to have to lift it back up. But as a team, this month, we've done 5,600 miles.
Yeah.
So pick that jaw back up.
Pretty bad.
Yeah, a good team. Yeah, you could do that in 1 week. We've done that in 3 weeks, almost 4 weeks now.
Yeah.
So anyways,
I think that's when we started some of our stopping because of the wind, right? And we had a couple times we had to stop.
It was either the end of December or the beginning of January. We were on I-80 going through Wyoming.
Mention that.
We were pulling a load for Amazon. And if you know anything about Amazon loads, they want it there yesterday, and they're light. Mm-hmm. So we were only 7,000 pounds, and I hit that little wayside rest at the top of Elk Mountain, and wind was 60 to 70 miles an hour.
Yeah. So
I decided, well, it's just ahead of me. You know, it was okay up to the point of that. Well, it was pretty windy, but you know, I was safe up to that point in time. But I was looking at the weather radar and seeing that the wind was going to go up another 10 or 20 going forward, and basically all the way to what's that town called? I can't even know, the one on the border.
The Cheyenne?
Yeah, but anyways,
it was through a lot of the state.
Yeah, we were stuck there for a day and a half. And finally the wind got down to about 40 miles an hour one morning, and I decided I'm taking off. This is our chance to get the heck out of here.
I mean, we were parked. We had trucks on both sides of us, and it was buffeting the whole.
Yeah, at one point in time I woke up and that truck was rocking so bad that I thought maybe the trucks around me had left, and I was like, maybe I need to turn this into the wind. So I get out of the sleeper and look, and no, I've got 2 trucks to my left and 2 trucks to my right, and we're all just sitting there like that.
Pretty bad.
I mean, people walking sideways like this, you know, it was crazy. And, you know, that area is just, it's notorious for wind. In fact, one of our buddies that does truck driving just sent me a picture a week ago of a truck that got flipped over on that interstate. So, you know, you definitely take the wind seriously.
Mm-hmm. In fact, wasn't it Wyoming that just had the record over 100-mile-an-hour winds?
Yeah, that was out
like
by the airport.
A week or a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, they recorded over 100-mile-an-hour winds.
Crazy.
A couple weeks ago, I think.
Wow.
So, you know, it's it's not our favorite place to go, but it seems like a lot of the loads want to go that way, and I don't know. It's coming up to another discussion here pretty soon, but then the next thing that happened that really delayed us big time is Alyson had an injury.
Yes. Well, actually, that happened in December.
It happened in December. I'll let you tell it.
December 22nd.
And I'll flash a couple pictures up there so you can see what we're talking about.
So I had done my pre-trip, and we were getting ready to take off. We were at the Swift Ocala Terminal, the yard.
In fact, we had just finished home time.
Yeah, we just finished home time.
Yeah.
And I had gone up on the catwalk to remove the large broom we have back there. And I swept out the trailer, you know, that we were going to take the empty. And I was putting the broom back and just stepped wrong. I guess either it was dark or I wasn't paying attention, so whatever the case. But stepped wrong, and I stepped down that hole that's between the catwalk and the splash guard in front of the steer tire there.
And I'll put a little picture up. It's, you know, if you picture the front of the truck's over here, you've got the catwalk that goes across the back, and then you've got the drive tires, and then you've got that little splash guard. She fell in that hole down there with her right leg.
My whole right leg went down, and there was just nothing to grab onto. And I've had a prior knee injury to that knee a number of years ago. So I really didn't want to delay anything that night because we had been on a home time already. I think this was because of taking care of the truck. So I decided to just use conservative measures and rest ice and all that kind of stuff. And probably should have. But anyways, we're both nurses. And sometimes we're the worst patients, right?
Yeah. That's a whole nother video and a whole nother story in itself that I plan to do eventually, and how we went from nursing to trucking. But that's a whole nother.
as a nurse formerly by profession, I think I was, you know, a little bit in denial. I should probably get this checked out. I'm like, you know, it hurts.
We're nurses. We know how to treat this.
We know how to treat this.
Elevate and
rest, ice, compression, elevation, you know, RICE. Yeah. That's what they teach us. So I was like, I'll just do that and take a little extra ibuprofen, Tylenol, whatnot, and just get over it. Well, going on 3+ weeks afterward when we were on our next home time.
We did report it, by the way.
Yes, we did report it. We started a claim and all that, took pictures and all those type of things.
Yeah.
And at that night, I just opted to, not go in and have it looked at, which maybe was not the right thing to do on hindsight. But anyways, I just decided to try to treat it myself. And after over 3 weeks later, we were getting ready to go back out on the road again.
Yeah, we'd had home time.
We'd had home time, and I was looking at my knee, and I was just, boy, that still looks swollen. It was still tender. There was still a bruise there. And I thought, I really should get this looked at, just at least x-rayed, something just to make sure there isn't any kind of injury. So we got in touch with our driver leader right away, and I said, I hate to do this, but I'm concerned about my knee. I said, it's really not improving. I have been able to drive, but it's been quite sore, tender, swollen, bruised, etc. And with that prior knee injury, we wanted to take a look at it. So I didn't realize the rigmarole, all the steps I'd have to jump through for that. But so immediately she took me off the truck. I was on medical leave until I was cleared. So I went down to the Concentra, which is the one that they work through, to talk to somebody there. They did an x-ray. They didn't really see anything, just like soft tissue injury, and I forget what else the x-ray showed, but
it wasn't broken. It's soft tissue injury and hematoma.
Mm-hmm. But just something in me just said, I think this needs to be looked a little bit closer.
Well, they required a second follow-up visit anyways.
Yeah.
And that's when the doctor wanted
right. So I went for a second follow-up visit. I followed their recommendations: resting, icing, compression. All the same things I'd been doing.
Yep.
But she said, seeing as it's been a few weeks and the x-ray never really shows in as great a detail what's happening, she said, let's just get you set up for an MRI. She said, then we'll know what we're looking at, and we'll just make sure there hasn't been any injury, from your prior surgery, etc. So I actually had that MRI done on Monday. But the MRI was scheduled, that was a whole rigmarole to get the MRI scheduled.
Several days, I think over a week to get that scheduled.
Yes. I called every single day, left messages. Yeah. And the last day I finally got transferred to somebody in the MRI department. And they said, oh, yeah, you have an MRI scheduled for Monday. I was like, I do? Nobody contacted me. So thankfully, I was able to get that information before. That would have been last Friday. I found out I had an MRI this Monday. So it was kind of a week-long process to get the MRI scheduled. And then I got that done on Monday, and that went well. But it was at exactly the same time I was supposed to have my follow-up visit with the doctor. So then I called them up immediately and I said, I have an MRI that's going to be scheduled the same date and time. They said, well, we're sorry, but we're booked out until Friday. That'd be this coming Friday for the follow-up. So I had to get rescheduled. So it's been kind of a process.
It's going on like 3 weeks now.
Yeah, it's been a process for this all to go through.
And the crazy thing is that, the first week I was like, well, because they asked if I wanted to go solo or not. And the first week I'm like, well, I suspect on Friday they're going to do an x-ray and say, yeah, it's not broken. You can get back on the road. But of course I didn't know that they'd want another follow-up visit the week afterwards. So then she had her follow-up on Monday, I think it was. Mm-hmm. And so then I told Swift, well, I might as well wait. I thought we're going to be on the road now, but I might as well wait for her since now it's just going to be a few more days. We'll do the, we'll go in and get the appointment, and I'm sure they're going to write her the okay to return to work. And of course, that didn't happen. So then I told my managers, well, they got to do this, MRI. This MRI, and that should be, they want to. Was it Friday? Yeah, originally they had the follow-up doctor's appointment that was supposed to be after the MRI on Friday. So I'm like, well, since I waited this long,
Monday.
No. Originally, the doctor's follow-up was Friday.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I probably should go out this week by myself, but I don't want to get stuck out there in Wyoming and then not be able to get home after she's ready to go. Mm-hmm. So, and I guess maybe I could have done something local. I don't know. So, and of course, this whole thing of trying to get it scheduled delayed us a whole nother week. Mm-hmm. And then I decided next month I had dental and vision appointments set up. Actually, I had a vision appointment this month. Then I had a follow-up vision appointment next month to check on something. But
dental appointments, we moved those up closer.
yeah, I figured since I'm home anyways, I'm out, and we're probably not going to be back in February. So I moved my dental appointment up to ended up being this week, was the closest they get
Monday.
in. And I suspected something might have been going on because I felt a little bit of a bump on my gum, and I'm not a smoker. I don't chew or anything like that, so it certainly isn't cancer. But I have had some dental work done in the past in that area, and sure enough, I have an abscess.
Imagine that.
Yep. And so far, knock on wood, I haven't had any pain because it's actually draining away from the area. And the pain is caused by a buildup of pressure. So I'm not having that buildup of pressure. But at the same time, that can go on and people wouldn't even know they have an infection. So it's apparently a pretty big infection. And I know from my experience of being a cardiac nurse that infection can go systemic, what's called bacteremia. And it can even affect your heart.
It can be very serious.
Which is called endocarditis. We just lost one of our lights. Anyways, endocarditis can kill you. So, this is something I definitely have to take care of so I don't end up in the hospital. But I saw a specialist today, and he said it's actually from a botched root canal that I had. So the tooth is still in good shape. It's anchored well. So he's an oral surgeon. He's going to try and save the tooth. Haven't scheduled an exact appointment yet. But again, now this is getting complicated because I need to get back on the road, but I need to take care of my tooth too. So
you could get very sick. I mean, you could,
Like I said,
serious,
you can actually die from bacteremia. I'm not to that point yet, but there's definitely. I saw the X-rays. There's definitely a pretty big infection in there. So they can get me in like either the second week, probably the second week of February, and then I'll have to do a follow-up appointment in 2 weeks. And if that procedure fails, then I'll have to have the tooth removed. And then probably like an implant or something, which is extremely expensive. But we have very good dental insurance, and it's not going to cost me much to try to have him redo the root canal, essentially is what it is. And then the reason why it's 2 weeks apart, he said the first treatment he'll take out essentially the plug that they put in, and then put an antibiotic in there. And then I come back 2 weeks later to get that cleaned out again. And then they put the root canal plug back in and put my crown back on. So probably tomorrow, which for you guys is probably today, I'll have to call my driver leader again and work something out, see how this is going to work. Especially with the weather the way it is lately. The weather's been pretty bad across the country. I'm wondering if maybe I need to talk to them about us doing something local or regional for a few weeks. There are a couple of...
maybe a couple months.
Yeah, there's a couple of dedicated accounts out of Florida here that we could consider. There's a Walmart account, there's a Target account, there's a Dick's Sporting Goods account, and there's probably some other ones I don't know as well. So that's all in the making. We don't know, that's for a future update. We don't know where that's going to end up yet. I guess the other possibility would be to put us on the I-95 team, basically be running up I-95. And
I'm not as much in favor of that.
Yeah, we don't really like the Northeast.
Yeah.
So
no offense to anybody who lives or works up there. We're just, it's very busy and crazy up there.
Every driver has their preferences. I'd much rather go to California than go to New York.
I'd love to go back to Texas.
And,
they don't seem to be sending us there lately.
And there are other people like, oh yeah, I don't mind the Northeast, but don't send me to California. So anyways, we're going to look into that, and I'll do a little update and see where we're at. And, it's a job, but we also got to take care of our health while
Absolutely.
we're out there.
That's a good word to all the drivers out there.
Yeah.
Don't ignore your health too. Do the things that you need to do, especially if you plan to do this long term. Take care of yourself too.
Yeah.
That's important. So.
So I think that's about it for our updates that I can think of. Anything else that you can think of?
I might be wearing glasses next time you see
That's
me.
right.
Apparently, I met the 40 curse. I don't know. I've been fighting needing glasses for many, many years, and we had our eyes checked. And Mike, of course, wears glasses, and he'll be getting a new prescription. But
I'm glad I didn't know you
Yeah.
needed glasses back when I'm back there sleeping.
actually, my eyesight is quite good, but it's
Oh.
starting to show signs of astigmatism and things like that.
Yeah.
And so eye strain. I've been having some more headaches and things like that. So
Well, she hasn't pushed anybody off the road yet that I know of. So
no, they actually say my far side vision is probably even a little clearer than closer up. But it's
Yeah. It's
seeing.
astigmatism, which is the same thing I have.
So it's seeing far ahead and then looking at that Qualcomm in those directions and going back and forth, and then the
Yeah.
night driving, day driving. So it's just strain. They said it's more so like eye strain. I mean, I'm seeing just fine. I just have to focus more to see as well as I used to. So don't worry out there. I still
Blind woman driving.
I passed my DOT physical and everything like that, but I may be wearing glasses next time you see me. We'll see. So, but other than that, just trying to take care of ourselves and
Yeah.
I guess balance work and health. So it'll be good to get back to work though. I think that the pocketbook is starting to feel a little bit of strain, but thankfully we did.
That savings account is shivering in fear. Anyways.
Well, thank you all for joining us today. And we look forward to any questions that you have. And we'd be curious to hear how your adventures are going out on the road.
And tell me what you think about that intro scene that I found. I threw on in the beginning. So, anyways, we'll give you an update coming up pretty soon on what we decide going forward, and what we work out with Swift, and that's it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching our channel. We're Mike and Alyson Myers.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.